Welcome to the We Know Nothing podcast. Like us, hit us up on twitter.com/knownothingpc or email us at knownothingpc@gmail.com. Matt, Seth, how we doing?
Matt
Wow.
Steven.
I'm Seth.
It up.
Steven. I was pretty smooth there for a while, though, wasn't I?
And face, yeah, okay. I'm the only one that did not fuck up an intro, and it took me my second try. So,
Hey, I never
you
messed
also
up. I was just stupid about it.
you also forgot facebook.com/knownothingpc. Just saying.
Yeah, I didn't know whether we should promote our Know Nothing PC, whatever. Anyways, first thing I want to hit off is Matt. Last week you forgot to bring up a point. Halo 4 armors. Last week you said you'd interrupt us. What was your point you were going to bring up again?
Uh,
Yeah. Only two armors that are at release.
oh yeah, that's right. Only
Did you
two
remember that,
armor.
Steven?
Well, two armors are gonna be on release for people who buy the game. All 8 are gonna be on release, but only if you buy the limited edition game.
So otherwise, you have to earn them.
Yeah.
Well, they're gonna release them as DLC. I'm guessing you're gonna have to buy them. You won't earn them. So it's like, okay, the other 6 armors that the limited edition people have, they're now available on the Xbox Live Arcade for you to download if you want to pay us some money.
And I don't think you're gonna like it, do you, Matt?
No, I don't.
Do you remember how
Shocker.
he was just going to steamroll us last week? I figured it'd be a good way to come in this week. Anyways, Matt, what have you been playing? What's new?
I've been playing a little bit of WoW. Haven't played much StarCraft. League of Legends has replaced StarCraft pretty much. On WoW, me and my buddy Ryan, he wants to get our Paladin and Warriors up to 85 before the expansion drops. That way we can power level to 90 and then work on getting Shadowmourne together.
Shadowmourne, really?
He said it's going to be a cash crop.
Yeah, because everyone thinks the mounts are going to sell. Steven, what about you? Anything new?
Actually, there's one thing that's new, and it's not a good review. It's Dust 514. They started their closed beta this Tuesday, and it blows. It's a terrible shooter. I mean, the style's alright, but in terms, I don't know, the controls, everything's just off. It's terrible. Besides that, got my WoW back. Tried actually just today, and just kind of messing around with everything else that I've been playing the past couple weeks.
Yeah, I'm pretty much getting ready for MOP and MAWOW. The other thing I've been trying to do is trying to find a good game for my iPhone, but I haven't. I tried the Simpsons game and it's kind of stupid. I haven't really found too much more. And I've been playing a lot of League of Legends, and that kind of rolls into our headlines. As far as headlines go, GameLoft announces a League of Legends style mobile game. I believe it's called something like Heroes of Order and Chaos. It's going to be just like LoL and Dota, as well as the Dota 2. It's going to have 3 lanes, river runs down the middle, similar landmarks. Quickly, Matt, what do you think about this? Do you think it can work on a mobile device, or is this kind of too much?
I think it's going to work and it's going to be semi-successful, except I'm not going to like it because I'm not going to have anything physical to play it with. You know, it's going to have an imposed joystick on the left side of the screen, and you touch your abilities on the right side of the screen. As I've said before, I'm not a fan of games that require, like, you know, touch interfaces. I'm more of a controller or keyboard mouse.
Steven, think it'll work on an iPad, maybe not an iPhone or Droid?
It's gonna do okay. See, the problem is there's so many new cookie cutter MOBAs coming out that I don't know. It's not gonna revolutionize the market by any stretch of the imagination. It's gonna do okay. It's gonna find its own market. It's gonna make some money, but it's not gonna be revolutionary. I like GameLoft. They're gonna make a pretty good game, but it's not gonna be revolutionary or anything.
Yeah, I mean, I love GameLoft, but I mean, we're gonna have 30 heroes. They're gonna be it's a cookie cutter heroes. I gotta agree with Matt's point. Although a touch device on this may not be too bad. I spend a lot of time right clicking on LOL now, probably because I'm a noob, but I don't think it'll affect us too much. Next, Mr. Pandaria Cinematic. It's a little different than most of the cinematics. Now, Steven, I know you didn't see it, but a lot of the criticisms are that it's not very serious compared to the other ones, and it doesn't really bring a lot to it. It's more just kind of a combat trailer. Do you have anything to say about those criticisms, even without seeing it?
From the sounds of it, it's supposed to be like a restart. Basically, they want to bring this back to Horde to Alliance. I mean, if you think about the first WoW cinematic, it had that combat kind of feel to it. I think they're just going to kind of go back to that. I'm waiting upon release to actually see it for the first time. I mean, they built it up to such a point where we knew the whole big thing was going to happen with Deathwing, but this expansion, they don't want to have it. Here's the big guy, this is what's going to happen, and here's some bullshit until that happens. So I understand them doing it, and I think it's more of a throwback to the first Vanilla WoW than anything else.
No, Matt, you saw it, and I know we talked about it a little earlier this week personally, but what'd you think?
Steve, plug your ears if you don't want to hear anything.
Okay, taking off my headset. Just message in Skype when you're back.
Okay. I think it was. I liked it, but I think that the orcs and the humans were very. They tried to be funny with it. Like, he was almost cartoony and childish in a way, just the way that they acted.
And one of the biggest criticisms was that the panda pwned, but that's Chen, to be fair. So
Yeah.
that's kind of one of the criticisms I wanted to attack. My personal opinions is I don't like the comical angle they took in it. I didn't like that really at all. Too much Kung Fu Panda for me. And we didn't see a whole lot as far as what to expect this expansion. And I'll call him back, and then I got one more thing to say about it.
All right, I'm here.
All I'm just gonna let you know real quick is that if you want to see a really good cinematic trailer, watch the Burning Crusade Illidan Black Temple. That's my favorite WoW trailer that's been released.
Deathwing was pretty damn nice, though. I mean, they built it up. That was a slow build. It was more cinematic, I think, and a little more artsy than anything else. So I suggest the Deathwing one personally.
Matt, what's your favorite? Are you gonna
I,
separate
uh,
us with Arthas?
I have a tie, and it's Illidan and Arthas. Even though I didn't like Wrath so much as an expansion, I definitely love the cinematic. It was great.
Yeah. All right. Rolling on. Counter Strike released that. Actually, it's going to be released next week, I believe. It's coming back to the PC. They have a cinematic trailer for it. It's called
No,
Counter
no,
Strike.
no. It was released this past
It
Tuesday.
was released on Tuesday, and I have it on
Ah,
my PlayStation. It's free for PlayStation
I
Plus.
missed it. We're late this week, so personally, I saw the cinematic trailer. It doesn't look like it's big enough to compete for me. It looks like it kind of looks too much like old Counter Strike, which is good for throwbacks, but compared to Modern Warfare and such, whatever. That's my opinion. Matt, what do you think?
I think it's going to be competitive, and it's going to bring out the competitive shooters. Not because, and it's because it is old school where you don't have to aim down the sights. You really have to be a good aimer, and if you suck at aiming, you're going to suck at the game.
Steven?
Basically, I just kind of say same thing as Matt. Actually, I heard through a couple different people complaining about it, saying you can't aim down the sights, so it's not a good shooter. I mean, that's complete bullshit. And plus, you have one life. It's objective based. It's a lot more interesting. It's a lot more tactical. It's a different style shooter than everything else. I don't think it has to compete, and it's not a full price. I don't believe. I need to double check, but since it was free for PlayStation
It's
Plus, I'm assuming it's $15. Correct?
yeah, yes, it's $15.
Yeah, so I mean, PlayStation Plus is gonna love it. I'm sure they're gonna have their own microtransactions. It's gonna have its own market. It's like Gotham City Imposters. I played that the other week, as I said, PlayStation Plus as well, and it does perfectly well. So I mean, it's gonna find its market.
Okay. I'm not sure if this one will affect us too much, but Apple is now the most valuable stock on the market. Each individual stock peaked Monday at 664.74 per share. And overall, they edged out Microsoft. Their high in 1999 was 619 billion. They have 623 billion. A lot of this is based on the speculation, not really on the gaming, but they rumored an HD program or HDTV program, iPad Mini, which makes no sense to me. Uh, I guess I'll go with Matt. Matt, will this affect gaming at all, or is this just stock market speculation?
No, I don't think it's going to affect gaming at all. It's purely speculation on their part.
Steven?
I don't think there's gonna be new people brought to that specific part of the market in terms of microtransactions. People who love it. People who don't. In terms of the most valuable stock, I mean, sure, they're up to that point, but you have to adjust for inflation. Is that Microsoft's adjusted number, or is that the actual value?
I don't know. I don't know from what I read.
If it's
I
adjusted, it's not too much higher, but if it's the same, I don't know.
I don't think it's adjusted.
So Microsoft back then was, boatloads and boatloads more money. I mean, obviously they're not there right now, but in terms of its effect on gaming, no, people who play mobile games. Matt doesn't, so he's not going to. Seth, you do, so you will. Anyone else is not going to make a big difference.
my bigger criticism of people who are kind of speaking too soon is that stock market speculation and it's based on what's going to come. The sixth generation iPhone, as I mentioned, the iPad Mini, and the HD TV program. You know, we got nothing tangible here. All these could tank, and the stock could be, in the shitter, so to speak, next week.
It could go the Facebook stock route and just never recover. Everyone opened so
Exactly.
high and it just tanked. No one made any money.
Exactly. Finally, as far as headlines go, Final Fantasy 13 teaser site has launched. A storm gathers is what they have. They know September 1st we're going to hear big news on Lightning. Not really too much, except for a little note from the developer saying this is a website that's going to clear the air on the next step as far as Lightning goes. We know it's not going to be DLC. Matt, any thoughts on the teaser site?
God, I'm praying that it's not a Final Fantasy 13-3 because it's just gonna piss me off with how they ended the second one.
Steven, do you think this is what we're going to see, a Lightning Saga video game, or where do you think they're going to go with this?
I think this is going to be more of a spin-off. I mean, on the actual website itself, it says we ended the saga with the DLC from Final Fantasy 13 2. We ended Lightning's story, which makes me think this isn't going to specifically center around Lightning again. If it is a 13-3, they might as well just rename it something else because it doesn't involve Lightning. Kind of like how Versus 13 is separate because it's not the same people. It's kind of the same world. It's that whatever Crystallis Novalis or whatever the fuck it's called. I think it's gonna be more of a spin-off. I don't think it's gonna be a whole new game for 13. Even if it's similar, I wouldn't mind the spin-off as much. And I think that's what it's gonna be from from what the developer said.
And I have a little bit of different take. This is kind of far-fetched, but hear me out. What do
Oh
you think if it's
Jesus,
going to be a movie?
13. Oh, they're gonna say Versus 13. Nah, it's not gonna happen.
You don't
Video
think
game.
so?
No, they can't even get an Uncharted movie together. Small news that wasn't brought up is that the Uncharted movie lost its director, and now the writer for National Treasure is looking to direct it. It's going to be a mess.
Now, we're not talking about. I got to argue real quick. I'm going to talk about more Sony Pictures, what they did with Spirits Within and Advent Children, where they don't need a director. And who knows? They could be half done with it anyways. Whatever they give us will be half done anyways. So, is it really that far-fetched, really?
It's not if that's exactly what it is. It's not going to do well because the 13 universe, although it's new, isn't very beloved.
Look, I just think since we had several games with 7, then we saw a movie, we got it. Now we got several games and several DLCs with 13 too. They're gonna try and pop out a movie for it. Matt, gonna help me out here, or does this sound crazy?
I just think it sounds crazy. My honest opinion is it's either gonna be 13-3 or a spin-off for like a handheld game or something.
Cell phone game, maybe they love their cell phone games.
It is a cell phone game before cell phone games are cool.
Yeah, they did. It was a Turks game, I think.
Hmm.
Yep. All right, now I'm gonna pass the helm to Matt for all the World of Warcraft news. I'm gonna start it off real quick. Uh, Matt, we're gonna start talking about pandas. You're gonna be able to play as a panda without getting to miss the Pandora expansion. Think it's good?
Yeah, I think it's good for Blizzard because it's gonna pull everybody in and to play the game more because they say, "Oh, I can play the game without buying all these expansions," you know. And then, okay,
Again, if you guys didn't hear, exactly like last week, what happened is that the message was sent through Skype. Matt freaked out, paused, and said okay because he can't multitask. Matt, what were we talking about? Do you even remember?
yeah, pandas.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's all I remember.
To be fair, Matt's Polish. He's blonde. His name ends with a vowel. He's not all there.
Uh,
We don't love you for your intelligence. I'll say that.
I love him for his nice round body.
oh
I like
yes,
his boobs personally.
He does show off some mean cleavage.
hairy
Big,
cleavage.
yeah, big
Hey,
areolas. No hairy.
Pandas. I'm cutting you off.
Pandas.
Pandas. We can only dig around for like a minute and a half.
The World of Warcraft creators want everybody to be able to embrace their inner goblin, blood elf, organ, draenei, or pandaren whenever they want, as soon as they start the game, rather than saying, "Hey, you have to buy the expansion first before you can do this." So basically, I think they're going to rope in a lot more customers that way. Not customers, but they're going to get more subscriptions that way. What do you guys think?
I don't think it's gonna work. I think it's gonna be, hey, sure, I don't have to buy the expansion yet to level up my panda. I think it's gonna get people to stall to buy the expansion. I think it's gonna be counteractive. I'm not a big fan of that. If you're gonna have the new content, I know they're gonna lock the classes and stuff, but if you want to level up Monk Warrior, get the expansion. The expansion's for the pandas. I said the Monk Warrior, I meant Panda Warrior, but I'm correcting myself before you jump on me.
I was
Seth,
just waiting till they stopped talking.
which side are you on?
I don't think it'll do much. I don't like how they did it. I think they should have slow rolled out. Maybe just kind of eliminate Burning Crusade. Since it pretty much does come with a battle chest, just give us Blood Elves and Dry for everybody, and then move on. Or maybe the next step with Worgens and Goblins, giving us everybody at once is counterproductive. I don't think it'll bring in a lot more people. Uh, and that was part of me getting the expansions. Okay, now I have pandas plus monk plus new world, and you just take one value away from new expansion. It just bothers me. After half the people already bought the expansion.
I haven't bought it yet. I want the box, so I'm gonna go to GameStop and pre-order it when it gets closer.
I haven't
Do
bought
you
it yet
think
because I'm
it's
waiting for more money.
well? Do you think it's still unfair to those people who bought it?
No,
No, people who already pre-ordered the expansion are people who are going to want to experience the new content. I understand how they're going to want people that want old content, but say someone new is coming to the game, they say, I want everything. Well, if they say, well, you could play as a panda without having to get this expansion, they're going to wait to buy it. It's going to go down in price. They're going to lose some money. That's my only fear with it, is that they're limiting the market.
The whole thing about pandas is just softening up everything. I
No,
think.
you got to give them a chance. The original WoW wasn't that heavy. Come on now, Warcraft 3 wasn't heavy. They had goofy moments. It's just
Yeah,
what Blizzard
yeah. A
is.
panda was the panda was a goofy moment.
And
Everyone who's telling me that pandas was in the lore before, there was one panda in existence before, and it was
okay,
a joke.
so we start out, Nixia and all that other stuff, and they really had no direction with that expansion. Nox Ramus, then they get darker with the Burning Crusade Illidan, then they go all the way to Arthas. Now Deathwing, this mighty power. We need a reset. This is a reset. It's WoW Reborn. It's a new game. It's back closer to vanilla. It's
I
exactly
don't
what they
think
need.
so. I don't think so.
Speaking of WoW Reborn, they're redoing everything. So you got the
That's
whole
my
new
point.
you got the whole new talent system coming in. You've got new graphics that they've been upgrading throughout. I mean, that's not something new, but they're gonna keep on doing that, changing the way spells look.
They're updating some character animations. It's not going to be upon release, but they're slowly starting to do it right now.
That's what I was saying, pretty much.
I thought you meant spells specifically. Everything. I mean, when you swing a sword, it's going to look differently soon
Yeah.
for the
Uh,
races.
you got the scenarios coming in. You got the challenge modes coming in. You got the new way raids are gonna be done with how loot's distributed. That's
That's only
super,
looking for raid.
Yeah, that is only looking for raid.
but it's still that's what most of the people do. That's the core of their players is going to be doing looking for raid. It's a very small percentage that do the real raids. But I mean, everything's on the change here. Like Steven said, it's going to be a reset. Is that you guys think it's going to turn out well doing a full reset like this, like pretty much going back to vanilla, or should it have gone, with the next step with a bigger, badder, someone bigger and badder than Deathwing?
Seth, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'd like the change, and case by case, I like things, I dislike things. I dislike the new looking for raid thing. I just think it'll be useless if I get the same piece of gear off the same boss. I'd like the choice to pass it. I like the new talents from what I see so far. I still have to play it come next week. We'll see the patch next week. No, but I don't think this overall movement toward vanilla is what I like. I like a change. I like how they change talents every patch or every expansion.
But
But
this drastically though, you're going
I
from
mean,
having 30 something talents to six.
it's a try. I mean, we cut back talents last time. Personally, I like 50 talents. I kind of like a lot of talents, but who knows? I may like it now because I think the potential to have ice barrier with fire. I like this kind of crossover you could have in skills. Again, I got to go case by case. I'm somewhere in the middle, Steven. I don't know where you fall though.
Okay. Well, we're going to save some of this stuff for potentially a side podcast or a shorter podcast in the middle of two longer ones. But just get into it really quickly. Looking for it, I got to defend it. What if the same thing drops off the same boss every week? At least this time you could actually do something with it and you could sell it on your own. If you pass it, you don't get any more benefits. I mean, I don't see any problem with that. My only problem is people sell it for a Maelstrom Crystal. I think it's basically an adapt or die and an evolve or die sort of thing with MMOs today. And you got all these other games coming out. I mean, basically Rift is the one that had the scenarios. They've had a lot more group quests and the farming. They've had to adjust what they've done. I mean, even multi-looting. Rift was the first one that I've known to do that, and then Star Wars, and then now Secret World. It's just they need to change to keep up with the market. And WoW is an old game. And to keep it from feeling like an old game still, I mean, like I said, Secret World is refreshing. They need a refresh, and they need people to still be interested in it. I mean, you're seeing people lose subscriptions. Finally, they're finally starting to tank, and if the expansion doesn't bring it back, or if they did the same expansion, I don't think it would bring them back. I think they're doing something bold. They're trying to make a good decision for the whole player base, and I think it's going to work out.
I'll save my looking for raid argument for future podcasts. I don't know. I have plenty of problems with it, but I
Well,
don't want to bring too
besides
much.
that, Matt, your opinion?
I've already played beta a little bit. I'm not a fan of the six talents just because of how they're changing the rogue class in particular. As I'm basing the whole entire system off one talent, they're not going to let me get Shadow Step and Preparation.
Oh, I can't do everything anymore. It's got to be a little more complicated.
Taking one tool out of your tool belt, that's all.
Oh, and I'm going to touch on this really quick. I forgot, Matt, sorry to interrupt, but Seth brought up a point when you like to have 50 talent points. Try playing Rift when you have like 70 something, 80 something. It's not good. And we'll go into that for the other one, but just as a teaser, I guess. The talents, it's not a good system to have more talent points.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
but then other than the talents, I think everything else that they're adding into the game is just a tool to bring in a lot more casuals to play and to try to keep the population of WoW players at a higher rate than because they're negative right now. They just want to be able to sustain at least.
To be fair, I love scenarios. Again, I don't hate everything about this. I can't say I hate everything about it. There were just certain really sticky points for me. I love scenarios though. If you want to talk about bringing casuals in, I will run scenarios a lot.
But Matt, do you think they're doing anything? Do you think their hardcore base still has enough if they're adding more for casuals? I mean, they still got all their heroic raids, and they still have their standard progression. Do you think that they need to make more changes for hardcores, or do you think they can't really because they're hardcore gamers and they're professionals and they move so quickly? Do you think there's anything they really can do to satisfy them, or anything that they should do for this expansion? Because you
For,
seem to complain about casuals, but on the other end, what can they do for hardcores?
what they can do for hardcores is they're never going to do it because it would cripple their game entirely, which would be to take it back to a formula like vanilla and BC, where really, Seth, it's not going to get me this time.
Oh, you just stopped again. Seth's just typing for a purpose distraction, and Matt stopped. Go on. It's not like Burning Crusade.
But that was pretty much it. I mean, to please the hardcores, they'd have to go back to a style that had vanilla and Burning Crusade, where the content was so much more difficult and only a small percentage of the population could play it. And the hardcores can be proud of the fact and shove it in anybody else's face and basically be elitist saying, I can do this and you can't because you suck.
Well, at the other point, you've only got a certain number of people before the buff who killed Deathwing initially. Well, this will be the last point I'm going to bring up, and we could obviously save it for another time. But isn't there prestige in being the first people to do it, or being the first 100? There's kind of prestige in that, isn't there?
There is, but it's even more if you're the only one that has done it.
So should they go back to that, or you think that'd kill the game?
I say they should go back to that because that's what I want, but it would lose them and it would hurt them a lot more than it would help them.
I think with your new playstyle, you're going to be perfectly content with where it is right now.
It's because I can't play like I used to.
That's the whole point. So now it's going to help you out. I'm telling you, you're going to shift to a casual pretty soon, and you're going to love the fuck out of it. But enough about WoW. Sorry, Matt, continue with your other points.
The next game, Diablo. Blizzard has bringing out a big patch for Diablo. They got a lot of stuff. They're making class changes. They're adding a whole new Paragon system for the people who are so-called bored with the game already because they have nothing else to do in it.
Now, what's the Paragon system?
You don't know?
Tell me.
Actually, he
Paragon.
doesn't know. He didn't read any articles this week. No
Yeah,
research.
yeah. I just wanted to point that out to see if he actually read it or not, or if he was trying to bait me. I'm still not sure. But the Paragon system is an entire system that's going to be solely based on endgame because you won't be able to even start it until your max level, which I think is 60. Yeah. So after you hit the level cap, you start 100 Paragon levels. Pretty much you can equate it to Prestige from Call of Duty. And okay.
Again, he's distracted. Go on. I'm gonna point it out every single time.
You controlled hardcore.
It's like Prestige.
It's like Prestige from Call of Duty. You have an extra 100 levels to go after you've already hit the level cap. And there's a lot of benefit in this because the way gear is set up right now is you have stats on them called Magic Find and Gold Find, which basically help you find more gold and better items.
Of course.
Really?
And
I could have never got that by myself.
yeah, whatever. They want to get these stats off of the gear, so each Paragon level is going to give you a passive ability that will give you those stats for Magic Find and Gold Find, so that by the time you reach the very last Paragon level, your stats for Magic Find and Gold Find will be maxed out, and you won't need any of those stats on your gear at all. Other than that, they're making class changes, particularly to the Wizard or Mage, and then the Barbarian. I'm not sure what those are yet because I haven't really researched into that too much, but they're coming out with a big patch 1.0.4. What do you guys think of the Paragon system? You think it's too much like Prestige, or is it just gonna be mind-numbing like pointless grinding levels, or what?
Well, it gives something for the hardcores, I guess, to start. Gold find. They have really gold find in that game. Blizzard needs to find out like stats that work. They love just implementing stats in games that never work. Spell
Haste.
pen. I mean, haste maybe work, but I mean, how much?
I mean, on plate, strength gear.
Just I'm trying
What's
to think. I'm
complaint?
blanking out because I know they dropped a lot of different old stats there used to be.
Armor pen.
Armor pen, yeah.
That was beneficial, but they just wanted to ease things up because armor pen became a little too stacked.
So I guess it's a way to kind of siphon that out since they don't really want that in there. I mean, it just gives stuff for hardcores. It gives you something else to build up because that was Diablo's big problems when it releases. It's not a game you could really grind through a lot. So I guess giving more to different people works.
I mean, there's been a dispute between, and I know we've never discussed this. I don't even know if you guys actually know about this. Again, I'm just bringing up random points I hear. Diablo 1 and 2 creator was very critical of Diablo 3. You guys hear about that?
No.
Oh, he just heavily criticized the style they did the game, about how the programmers, they weren't staying true to the style. And he's currently working on a game which he calls the spiritual successor to Diablo. He just thinks the style that they went into, the whole loot system. I mean, they kind of borrowed from him, but it's also a different game at this point. And he was heavily critical, as I stutter over my words about that. The developers actually fired back at him. And they had a whole bunch of complaints. They said a lot of rude things to him, and then they ended up having to apologize. One of the lead designers for Blizzard Activision, but not before the other guys said these guys are basically arrogant assholes, for lack of a better term. So, I mean, Diablo 3 was created in a different way. They're just trying to make it sustainable, but it's not a sustainable type game. They should have just been a release and it's over. So, in terms of the system, it's just a grind. Just keep it playing. They had the auction house didn't release till far too late in the game. If it came out at launch, it would have been alright, but it's just no. Diablo should be for a single player, and you can have fun in multiplayer, and that's it. You can return the game after 6 months a year. That's how they should have styled the game, and they're leeching it unnecessarily.
I mean, so some of the other changes is that Matt didn't really go into. As far as the wizard class goes, one of the big changes is as far as the Hydra skill. They say that it's not quite balanced. They're going to do a big balancing as far. Right now, Venom Hydra is kind of the big one, but they're going to try and do a lot of balancing more or less. Not really big changes, but they want to make it more diverse to where you actually have, you don't have a cookie cutter build, which seems to be the trend for Blizzard anyways. I didn't read much on the Barbarian, but I know that much as far as the Wizard goes.
Definitely. Moving on to StarCraft, Blizzard's last game.
Yeah, because they only really have 3 games.
It's true.
Except for, what's that Viking game?
I forget the name of it.
Lost
We all just choked at the same time. They're
Uh,
all in
my
Old
bro
War.
for
Just
Matt.
fuck it. They're all new. There's that one guy that's the Swift, and you get this
They're in
boots and whatever.
Uldum, not even Ulduar. Don't give them that much
Oh
credit.
yeah, that's right. Fuck it.
Whatever. Anyway, StarCraft 2, Heart of the Swarm expansion. Beta invite should be going out real soon. I really hope I get one. It's the second game in a three-part arc. The last one's going to be, I think, something of the Void, focusing around the Protoss race. It's going to come with an all-new single-player campaign, adding a ton of new
I'm kind of
units.
playing against something.
They're adding a ton of new units for multiplayer, which is unheard of because it's going to change the way that it's played drastically. And then they're going to have
Unheard
to
of.
go, well, I mean, and from StarCraft 1, every expansion they came out with, I don't believe they added units. They added units to the game, but only for single player. They didn't change the multiplayer at all. They kept the way it was.
It's not unheard of. Unheard of. Wow, we all just suck this week, don't we? It's not unheard of for Blizzard though, because Warcraft 3 Frozen Throne, you never had it when it was just Reign of Chaos, did you?
No, I didn't.
They added whole new units for that game too.
But to be fair, Warcraft wasn't the main tournament game. I mean, right now the main tournament game is StarCraft.
Yes,
So
indeed, because it's honestly they do such a good job with balancing all three races. If you look at the stats, they do it with maps too. With maps and races, it doesn't matter what map you're on, what race you pick, you have a 50-50% chance at winning of equal skill levels. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
There's
you
not
do.
there's not one race that is superior to another, and there's not one map that gives this side the advantage over the other. And that's why StarCraft 2 is the main competitive game, is because they do such a good job at balancing.
So do
Uh,
you think the introduction of new units will mess with the balancing at all? Do you think, you know, well,
I've
A, do you think tournaments will accept Heart of the Swarm right at the gate? And B, how long do you think before they're rebalanced?
I think they're going to do so much testing in the beta that it's going to be pretty much balanced once they do release the game. Blizzard is notorious for pushing their stuff back and not releasing it on time. And that's what they're going to do with Heart of the Swarm. They're going to keep it in specifically multiplayer beta until they believe it's balanced before they push out the game.
Do
Which
you
is
think it'll
why,
be?
huh?
I was
Oh,
gonna say my first point. I don't know if you're gonna hit it. Do you think it'll automatically be implemented in tournament play?
Of course not.
no, people will, because you're still going to be able to access the Wings of Liberty multiplayer even if you still buy Heart of the Swarm. Which brings up a new point. For Heart of the Swarm, they're completely wiping any MMR you have for multiplayer because they said with the introduction of new units, it's completely going to change the game. And I think sucks for me, good for the rest of the world though, because with all the new units, there's going to be so many different and customized strategies with how the new units play and their abilities and whatnot. So what they said is the pros, they're going to have their unique play style, whereas the play style right now, the pros play it and everyone else can copy their style real easily and be successful with it. So like right now, you could have two equally ranked people in the Diamond League, both at rank 5, say, and they'll play each other, and one could be drastically better than the other. But just the way that the system works right now, the suckier guy can copy the pro strategy and do so well with it. Where with the new units, it's going to be really difficult to copy the pro strategies, where they're going to be so unique with what they do and different things that they can do.
I think an interesting point to bring up with that, as you say that, is you notice you've said something similar with all three of the Blizzard games. They've introduced something within the game that makes it harder to figure out one specific thing to do during your gameplay style and how to figure out one of the best. Seth brought that up with the Wizard and the Barbarian, how they're going to making them different and how there's not a cookie cutter quote unquote. That's the reasoning for the new talent points. I mean, thinking about it for StarCraft, where it's going to be a good thing, do you think it's a bad thing for Warcraft, or do you? Because that seems to be Blizzard's mo, is to make it specific, make or let a player have their own experience with their own build. Do you think it's good for one, bad for the other? Do you think it's good overall? Because that just seems to be a returning theme.
I never thought of it like that. I
Good for
think,
one, bad for the other.
Okay,
yeah,
Sorry to
why?
cut you off.
that's what
Matt.
I'm leaning towards.
Okay, I was gonna let you give you some time to think though. Seth, what were you gonna say?
I mean, look, I don't think as far as a game with StarCraft, we got three races. I think it's going to be nearly impossible. It's going to be an uphill battle to make sure there's no one cookie cutter for this. Um, Only because you have such a wide range of units and the level of gameplay. I've even seen the WoW tournaments. I still think the level of gameplay as far as the StarCraft player base goes, it's high above the other two games. Probably with Diablo being the lowest, then WoW, then StarCraft with hardcore gamers. So I think regardless, they will figure out, they will crunch the numbers, run it a billion times, and make sure they have the absolute best. Uh, and I mean, you also brought that up, and I don't want to stray too far away from it, but we've seen a lot of development from Blizzard lately too. I'm worried we're going to hit a dark period soon too. Once all of this releases, we're going to hit a dark period.
Okay, but really quick, I guess make up a small list on the spot. Which one with the three games, which is it good for and which is it bad for?
I think it's best bottom up. I think it's best for Diablo, medium for WoW, and worse for StarCraft. I think because Diablo, you got a single player. You look, if I don't play as a wizard and there's only one good build for a wizard, I'm stuck until I beat it on Inferno mode. But now I got five good wizards. That at least gives me the potential for different gameplay. And again, WoW a little less, but still there. StarCraft, I think it's terrible for.
Matt,
Well,
make your summary and say which games you think is better and worse for.
I guess I misconstrued what you're trying to get at because my list was pretty much flip flopped. I don't.
And that's why I thought it was interesting because I knew that was going to happen.
I'm
So
confused now.
why is it? Why do you think it's good for StarCraft and bad for WoW to try to get rid of this sort of thing? It's
I'm
called a discussion. Let's go.
I'm completely lost though. I don't know what you're talking about now.
He's saying that in StarCraft, that eventually, because pros are so good, they will find one cookie cutter. Where WoW, there seems to be different situations and different scenarios in which there is no real cookie cutter build for it, which is why it's not necessarily better or worse. Say some situations system's better for AoE, so you got to change specs between fights. I mean, I highly doubt people are going to spend thousands of gold to do that.
Yes.
Some
Okay.
might, but that's the point where it can be back and forth, where it's still kind of good because it gives you some diversity, especially as a warrior. I'm not going to go into it again, but in Diablo, it's the best because you can play the single player game any way you want, and you basically can have enough success doing a number of things instead of just one. Your point to that is?
My point is it's best for StarCraft, and I'm gonna blame this solely on that Seth, you don't play StarCraft, so you wouldn't know this. In multiplayer, you start out doing your strategy, whatever you're gonna do. You wanna like know what the other guy is doing at all times if you can. So once you know what he's doing, there's always something that's gonna counter what he is doing. So you can switch up your gameplay, you can beat him. If he's smart, he knows that he sees that you switched up, so now he's gonna switch up to counter what you're doing, and then it can be perpetual until
Look,
maybe the map runs out of resources.
I know it's a game of chess, but I don't think adding more pieces changes it at all.
I think it's gonna make the pros that much better, and it's gonna make even more units to, I guess, counter one another.
I think with more units, just units will fall by the wayside. And you could use that, I don't play as much, but I mean, don't discredit me as a gamer at all, Matt.
I'm not discrediting you. I'm just saying I don't think you would have had that knowledge, but just because you don't play the game.
I mean, it's just like any kind of, I mean, again, break it down to chess. You know, there's strategies involved there, but I already ruined my analogy by saying it once. Just add
Yeah,
more pieces.
just keep
isn't
saying
gonna change
chess.
it.
Keep saying chess. I mean, that makes the most sense. Repeating yourself usually
It
helps
makes
with
me
an
sound
argument.
smart, okay?
All right, you're probably not going to agree on that point, but WoW and Diablo, you said StarCraft's the best. Is it good for all three?
I think it's good for all three, yes, but I think it's best for StarCraft.
And you think it's at least best, if that's not even the proper way to put it, because I don't know how you should phrase that, because I'm a fucking idiot. Least best for Diablo, and you still put WoW in the middle. Do you agree with Seth in that terms, or the exact opposite of Seth in that terms?
Yeah, I flipped it. WoW's in the middle and Diablo's on bottom.
Well, what about single player campaign? How, like, okay, I want to beat it on Inferno mode. I only have one shot with one build to do it. You don't think it's better that
He said it was better, but it's not as significant as StarCraft and Warcraft.
Yes,
Warcraft?
yes, it's still
so
better.
you're saying it's greater overall, just not as good.
Yes, that's
See,
what I'm
I
saying.
think it's the best for WoW. Diablo is kind of who gives a shit for the single player anyway. Most people are playing the multiplayer, so who's really going to care? StarCraft, I do not know enough about, and I'm going to say I'm leaning towards hating real-time strategies as of late. It hasn't been interesting me nearly as much as it used to back maybe 5, 6 years ago. So I don't really care about it, so I'm not even going to give it a ranking. But I think it's best for WoW just because you got the biggest player base. And I think you're going to have so many people trying to crunch numbers, and they're going to want to change specs between fights. It's going to make things very interesting, especially if you're looking to get picked up for a raid. It's going to help
Matt,
me out as a warrior.
can we agree that Steven's an idiot?
Yeah, I'll agree with you there.
You
All
just
right,
come up with
Steven.
a reason. We'll talk about that on the Warcraft one. Let's go into it after. But I'm going to take the lead. I'm going to take it away from all the shitty Blizzard news and talk about the best thing ever, Sony. Let's just touch on the Vita really
Fanboy.
quick. What were you saying?
Sony fanboy.
Yeah, obviously. That wasn't just a clean segue. Or me just trying to
It was a terrible segue.
arrange this whole mess. Alright, basically, Vita has an app announced for Dust 514, as I said, which is an absolutely shitty game, in my opinion. I mean, the game I played, the other team had about 4 vehicles running around the whole time, just sticking around, and we lost. I only played one game, so my judgment's based off that.
Oh wow, it's such a terrible game because we blew one game because I was playing with a whole bunch of 12-year-olds.
But that's the way the game is meant to be played. Sniping's terrible. They don't really have any good. I don't know. It wasn't very. It wasn't stylistically a good shooter. It had crappy load times and crappy frame rate. I mean, I understand it's a beta, but I've played plenty of betas and I haven't had that many problems with it. And I don't know. It's just there's also a lot of minor details I'm not going to get into. But people seem to like it. Some people love it, especially if we play EVE Online. And announced for the Vita. Wow, this is a rough week for all of us.
Not only for you, I'm doing pretty good.
Matt bombed early too.
Where
Al,
did I
you're
bomb?
doing pretty good. I wish I could remember what was said at the beginning that you messed up.
I already know, but keep going.
He messed up his name.
Oh, I know that. And there's something else too, but I didn't even get into it for that one. I just let it fly. They announced for the Vita that it's basically like an armory app, but you can change things around. It's kind of like WoW Armory, plus being able to change your gear while you're offline and be able to work out with stuff. It's basically, I think it's gonna be a useless utility. Dust is gonna be free to play, so it's not gonna hurt it too much. But I don't think the app is really gonna help out any, and I don't really see a point to it. What do you guys think, Seth?
Well, I gotta say, from Dust, I haven't really played Dust at all. 514, right? Dust 514.
Yes.
But the E3 trailer for it was amazing, and I thought we'd have a lot more crossplay with Vita than this. I mean, just getting Armory kind of gameplay with, wow, I could change my equipment. I could check out the store. I mean, it's kind of cool. I could check out the store for it, but it's gonna take me just as long, not that long to log on, anyways.
I think yeah,
Uh,
most of the crossplay is going to come with EVE Online, really, because we were doing something for one group that wanted something done for other people. So basically, the person on EVE Online got the benefit from the other people, not from my team.
but Dust 514 had that. I'm almost positive they had a killer. They're talking about all these plans for the cross, and it just, I don't know. I don't like these kind of apps.
Matt?
I think it's a relatively new concept to where you're going to be able to be immersed in one game all the time rather than have to turn on your console or computer to play the game and then you can only play it when you're out of work and not sleeping type of thing.
Sorry, you were going to go on or no?
No.
Oh, I was going to agree with you, actually. I agree with the concept. This game, it just wasn't done properly. The general idea of the fact that it's just an armory app. I mean, I love this play, say, Assassin's Creed or Uncharted, and I could take something with me and I could watch. If there's a game that it could go along with it, say, I could watch League of Legends games or replay games or watch videos that I've done on mine, like a Halo 4 Theater, and you could walk around and have that on your iPad. That'd be really fucking cool to have, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and I think that the technology is just going to evolve over time. This is just like the beginning
Yeah.
steps of it.
And I
So the
sorry.
new stuff is just going to suck off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to try to do it with smart glass, and it's not going to do so well. And it's not going to do so well with the Vita either, but someone's got to start that technology. Also, speaking in terms of the Vita, sales hit 2.2 million. I mean, they're shitty numbers compared to the 3DS, but it actually is still selling somewhat. Is there any savior for this? Will it last? Will it disappear in a year? What do you think is going to happen to the Vita, Matt?
I'm not sure to be honest. I feel like they're at such a low point they can only go up, but I never even considered it just falling off and them giving up on it. I don't think they're going to give up on it though. So I mean, I feel like it can only go up from here.
Seth? Oh,
Especially,
sorry.
I'm just getting into something.
And they interrupted you, and they just completely fucked up your flow.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, my
You're
bad.
stoned.
No, but we should do the Warcraft one with the drinking
Oh, I'll get hammered for that one.
Exactly.
The only problem is gonna be like 3 o'clock on a Thursday. Jesus,
Yeah. Well, actually, that's the best time to get drunk. Seth, Vita.
like you'd know. I think the big thing is I don't know whether at GamesCon they had the wrong numbers, but they announced 1.8 then. If we really shot up to 2.2 now, I think that's kind of high hopes for having the kind of cross platform gameplay. I mean, it could have been wrong numbers at first, but we still saw a huge bump because of GamesCon, and we see a lot as far as the cross. I think that's what's really bumping the Vita sales. I think I think they'll increase. I think we kind of scratch the surface with the Vita still. I think they're more on a 10-year plan with, like with the PS3. The PS3 wasn't an immediate release. We're going to overwhelm everybody. They kind of had a long plan for it. I think the Vita is the same thing, so we might be able to see some pretty good things from the Vita still.
I kind of agree with that, and I mean that just seems to be the way Sony does this. And all right, let's just get this straight first off the bat. It's called cross-buy. When you reference it, it is only called cross-buy. It's not called anything else that you're making up. But it happened with PS3, and if you also remember, PSP wasn't a smash hit to begin with, but PSP numbers are actually really good, especially in Japan. I think they need more Japanese games to get that market saturated, and the cross-buy is definitely going to help. I mean, in terms of that, it's a great thing in my opinion. Vita's
Well,
only going to go up.
I think to kind of argue with the cross-buy is the big thing that kind of helped the PSP was the release of the $10 and $20 games. You know, we saw it with the PlayStation Store too, with Fat Princess and all these indie games kind of being boasted. Patapon was a huge one for PSP, and there are a whole bunch of little ones that came up. You know, there were bestsellers in the middle of October when we don't really see a whole bunch of game sales until November. Uh, I think that's the big thing that saves them, and it's a different direction. I'm not sure if it's going to help boost it, but it is a different build from the PSP build.
I mean, and I guess we can go into cross-buy now. Seth, is it you're talking in terms of the fans? You think is an interesting thing? What about in terms of the developers?
I think the biggest problem with Sony talking about cross-buy is that the problem it's going to have for developers is Sony wants to make the Vita version free. Um, I buy this PS3 game for $60, great. Now I get the Vita version for free. I think that's why we're going to see a lot more Armory type apps. I don't think we're going to see full out games. Uh, I don't know. I mean, it just kind of makes it an accessory to your PS3, not its own gaming console to me. And I think it hurts developers because now they can't sell the other one for 40. You know, Assassin's Creed. I bought the Assassin's Creed terrible PSP game, but I got the PS3 version, then I got my PSP version, but now I'll be able to get them both
But
for
those are two
60.
separate games.
But who said? I mean, developers are just gonna do that now. I mean, it may discourage, but they always get released together. It happened with Resistance too. Two Resistance got released together. Two God of War got released together.
I'm not going to argue a point. I want to see what Matt says first. Matt, in terms of cross-buy, first talk about how you think it affects the gamers themselves, the whole marketplace, and then secondly, how does it affect developers?
I think it affects gamers, and I'm going to say this just speaking from my perspective. If they're going to offer cross-buy for games, that really makes me want to buy a Vita. That way I can get a game for free. Even if it's going to be a bad game. But I'm going to get something for free, sure. I'll go buy a Vita because I'm going to get free stuff every time I buy a new game for my PlayStation 3, you know? But speaking from a developer's perspective, I think it's really going to discourage them from making new products for the Vita. And if they do, I feel like they're not going to put as much work into it, and they're going to be real shitty.
Well, I'm going to agree and disagree. For the market, the cross-buy is going to work exactly for Sony how it wants to, and that's exactly what you're saying. You say, hey, PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. I get a free copy of it on my Vita if I get a Vita. That's the less money I have to do to buy it. Sure, why don't I just buy a Vita too, right? Now,
hmm
say a new game just specifically for the Vita comes out. You're going to buy it, right?
Specific, yeah, maybe not so much.
Is there a chance? I mean, say Uncharted has its own $40, $35 version of a different Uncharted game, like Golden Abyss. Since you already
I,
have a Vita, are you going to spend that money buying a different game for the Vita?
I'd probably wait until I see reviews on it. I don't think I'd be sporadic like I am with video games that are on actual consoles right now.
But my
But it's
argument is people are going to do that. And
and
that's sorry, go on.
at least it gives Matt the option to look. Matt doesn't have the option now to even look at it because now he has to buy Vita. I mean, I'm kind of arguing against my own argument, but
That was
as
going
far
to be
as that, it helps. Look, it definitely helps Sony and it helps fans. I'm going to get more for my $60 game as long as I buy this $200 accessory.
in
Um,
in terms of the
sorry.
I was going to say in terms of the developers, they just want to see their game being played. Ultimately, the more people that play the game, the more likely they are to release a second version of it, the more likely they are to release spin-offs. I mean, Killzone's was based could have been dead in the water if it wasn't successful. So it's going to be good for developers for specific Vita games. They will know that more Vitas are shipped, so they will be more willing to develop for the Vita.
Now, I have to ask. Now, Matt, I'm going to ask you specifically. Okay, I get this free game, right? I get the PS3 version of it. I also get the Vita version of it. But in order to get this costume and this, aspect of the PS3 game, I need to play a Vita game. Or I get bonuses for the PS3. Is this a good thing?
Say it again. I'm not following.
Okay. Now, I buy Assassin's Creed, the new Assassin's Creed for PS3, right?
Uh huh.
And then I buy a Vita and it comes with a free version, right?
Yeah.
Or I have a Vita.
Yep.
Now, if I play my Vita game, I get extra unlocks for my Assassin's Creed.
Okay.
That's cool, right? What if I
Yeah.
didn't own a Vita in the first place? Now this person's getting extra unlocks. Or they're getting extra gold.
QQ.
Is
I
that
think
fair,
that,
Matt?
I don't think it's fair in the slightest, and I would not be a fan of that. I think if they did that, they would have to that they should make the items not affect gameplay. It'd be
Now,
something trivial like a costume.
But you were
now,
totally for 24/7 game immersion. You were completely for having an app where you could do separate things, where you can immerse yourself in the game. But just because you get one slight extra thing from it, I don't know. See, when I played Infamous 2, I had stuff from Infamous. I got extras from it. Some people didn't. It didn't affect Infamous 2 selling. I think you're just being picky with this specific example.
I
Matt,
I
you already
speak
lost out.
I speak purely from my own perspective and
Self,
what I want.
selfish
And I
English
and I
perspective.
know what I want isn't always gonna happen or necessarily be the best thing, but that's pretty much where I come from. That's
Matt,
what I would want.
did
Because
you play
I
the
I don't want myself to be at a disadvantage because I don't own a Vita at the moment.
We
did you
got
play the Facebook game for Assassin's Creed?
I did not because I didn't even
Then
know it existed.
and then you missed out on gold for the last Assassin's Creed because you got extra gold.
You know what? I don't
You
care now because I didn't know at the time, so it didn't affect me. And now that I know now, I don't even play the game anymore, so I'm just like, whatever, I don't care.
you're a little pissed. He's a little mad, bro.
I mean, but you would be angry if it was on a bigger scale. You'd be angry.
Yeah, I would. I'm not gonna lie.
Even though a little bit of gold, who gives a shit? Especially in Assassin's Creed.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
really. What do you
Go
buy?
AFK for an hour and a half, and you got all the stuff you need. AFC really, but
But I mean, that's my biggest point is with the bonuses, I I gotta agree with Matt, but extra gold is one thing. That's something I could get. Extra story arcs, that's where it get questionable for me. I get to learn this much about the side character maybe, or an extra play. If I have the Vita version, then I get an extra chapter in my PS3 version. Then when I start to have problems.
so there's a whole bunch of Metal Gear Solid games that came out for PSP that have nothing to do with Metal Gear Solid. You learn more about side characters. It makes it just it's the same exact thing.
But
I mean,
enabling it in the PS3 version, because you play this, then you could enable it in your PS3 version.
that's
Not
not
that
what's
the
gonna
game
happen.
acknowledges it. Oh, it might.
It might. No, this is gonna be DLC. You're gonna have to pay for it. They're not gonna give it to you for free. Or if they're gonna give it to you for free if you play the game, or they're gonna make it available as DLC. So you can still
Thing.
do it, Matt. How you like that?
I
You
don't want
pay.
to pay extra for it though.
Well, it's you're gonna pay for the Vita. You're gonna pay for the DLC.
I
I
know the
want everything for free.
They, but think of it also on the developer side because 80% of the people that played the Facebook game also now played the Assassin's Creed game.
We're the
I don't
dumbass
know,
20%.
huh?
We're the dumbass 20% that didn't. Then why are you even playing the
They
Facebook
were cheap picks. That's who they were.
picks?
Hicks. I said Hicks.
That sounded like you
That's
said picks.
Yeah, I heard picks, bro.
well, you guys got to clean out your ears because you're the ones messing up all
You
day today.
spelled connect wrong.
And
Okay. All right. That's something for us, but just know Seth's sitting here bashing us and connect has two ends in it apparently.
I don't
I'm,
own it, so I don't really care.
I'm gonna pop back in the PS3, but these are just gonna be really quick things I'm gonna touch on. Sports Champions 2 release date. Is it even Matt, do you still care about the Sports Champions 2? I mean,
Uh,
I do.
Honestly, it's the only game I really play now with the PlayStation Move, and
Would you get the second one?
looking at probably yes.
So, I mean, that's my argument basically. Just to touch on it quickly, it's new games: skiing, boxing, tennis, golf, bowling, and archery's come back. Plus, they got a new party play mode. It's perfect. I mean, that's exactly what you want. I wish they had more come up for Sports Champions 1, but imagine Sports Champions 3. And plus, this one, I gotta try to remember. I learned this a while ago. They're a lot more precise with the calibration and everything, where you don't have to line yourself up every time. It's just supposed to be an easier game to play, and you're gonna be able to hop in, hop right out. It's gonna be perfect. I'm gonna love Sports Champions too. Seth,
They need to re-release disc golf. Okay, you don't know how bad I've wanted to play. It is the funnest sports game I've played. I've played Wii Sports. I've played Connect. The Connect Dance game's okay for about a minute. Some people are really into it for parties. It might work if you have a few girls over and such. But if you want to get nerdy and play real sports without having to get sweaty, or maybe even get sweaty, Sports Champion's the best one. Um,
you've never
I
played
like it.
Gladiator on Diamond, have you? Oh, you get sweating, you get going, you get pumped. You got to quick.
As did you hear me amend my original statement? I mean, I love the games that they're introducing. I think, we don't need. The Wii makes a lot of mistakes because they have a lot of useless games, but you know, I think disc golf was the right game. I think Gladiator's probably the most far fetched, but we saw bocce, and we're gonna see a whole bunch of new games that make sense to have with it, and they're things that people would play.
But here's a counter argument to it. And I'm stepping back from my point, and I don't necessarily give a shit. But we're seeing skiing, boxing, tennis, golf. Now, archery already came out. Bowling's had plenty of move games. Now, let me phrase it this way: we skiing, we boxing, we tennis, we golf.
Doesn't we have canoeing too, though? That's kind of my point. Is as long as Sports Champion doesn't jump the shark, I think we'll be okay.
Well, these all came out with the first release of the Wii. So you're saying Wii's behind, but we already had all this stuff out a long
No,
time ago.
I'm not saying Wii's behind. I'm saying Wii has gone out there with what they have. I don't like the little characters compared to real people.
They're called
I
Mii's.
Yeah, I know what they're called. You
We
can't tell you.
these little
My,
people
my roommate in
called
college, he's
midgets.
like 5'6". He's not chunky, but he got the fit, whatever it's called. He stood on it, and his character literally blew up to like a little fat Asian person.
Yeah, no, that's actually the best part of the whole thing. Anyone that steps on it, because unless you have like a skinny frame, you're always heavier than your BMI, and that's the way they measure it. And so every time it gets a certain level more fat than you're supposed to be, just to make you to keep playing it.
And you guys know Eric, how he was heartbroken. You have no idea. It was terrible. But I mean, going back to your point, I don't think the Wii's behind. I think the style of game is better. I just think how they approach the sports is better. Wait until we see canoeing in the next Sports Champions 3, and I'm made to look a fool. But
I think that the Wii even stated that they took a different route with their platform. They were going to do what they wanted to do and keep their. They didn't say it this way, but I'm going to say it this way. They're going to keep their childish games with Mario and their little memes or whatever you call them. But
Mies. MIIS,
like
not
we,
MEMES.
me,
but they took their own route and went their own way, and they said this is what we're going to do. Whereas PlayStation, Xbox went the hardcore route and kept like all the competitive games that everybody like loves and plays. And now Sony and Microsoft see that Nintendo is still, uh, they're still being successful even though they went this other route. So they're just trying to dip into that market little by little as they can.
Well, to defend it a little bit and to bring up another point, I mean, you see this with the whole industry. Almost every movie that comes out is PG or PG-13. That's the way you make all the money. You got to cater to everybody. You can cater to little kids, people who would normally play games. But two, I got to give Sony some credit, and I even got to give Microsoft
Oh,
some
you're
credit. I
giving
know
Sony credit, really?
I
Surprising,
just said Microsoft.
shocking.
If you'd let me finish my fucking statement,
I won't.
the way that they're
I
doing
keep cutting
these
you off.
are a lot more in depth than the simple Wii stuff, and I think it's just within the technology. I think Wii kind of blew its load a little early, and basically with the golf, you just kind of swing it at a different, you tilt yourself a little bit. But this one, specifically the way you hold it, you could get different in ping pong. You get different spins on it. You can arch the disc different ways for disc golf. Gladiator, the swings were independent. I mean, you're going to see
Hachi.
more hardcore players. Hey, you can put a spin on it then too. You're going to see a lot more hardcore players actually getting into sports champions than they would in the Wii. So I got to give it some credit. And even the Kinect, you're seeing a lot more, hard. You see more hardcore people than casual people playing the intense games in the Kinect.
I agree with your point, but could you say that's because they've waited so long? I mean, the Wii had all these type of games out when the Wii released however long ago, years and years ago,
Did
and
you play
now
Wii Boxing?
I didn't play any of the Wii because I don't
You just swing the
want to.
controller really fast.
Exactly, Matt.
I
I
never
mean,
said it was good, but I'm just saying that Wii came out years and years ago. This was already on it. I'm not saying it's good by any means. Yeah, I know it sucked, but I mean, Sony and Microsoft are just coming out with these type of like involve your physical self into the game now, years later. So they've had time to perfect it and refine it and make it so it's that good.
Well, yeah, I think most of that's the technology, but we're going to start talking in circles here. Seth, you got anything else really quick before I bring up anything else?
no, it's just how Nintendo was the one to kind of dive on the grenade in this one, just like we talked about the Armory type of apps earlier. Somebody's got to dive on the grenade and get started.
Good
And
point.
I well, I was going to say as a whole, I don't think the motion's going to stick with gaming. I could be wrong. I also encourage virtual reality, so I'm kind of contradicting myself. But I don't know if the whole motion market's even going to be alive.
The market's going to sustain because it's been around since the Power Glove. It's going to go back and forth, sure, but it's always going to be there at some point. The last thing I want to touch on is this specific article. Now, where this is the only time I'm really going to bring up again what IGN has done, because a list that they've done kind of irks me a little bit. It's alright in some aspects, not alright in some others. It's your top 25 PS3 games. And as you know, I'm very passionate about the PS3, and I'm a little disappointed with the way that they went with this. Do you guys have any comments on it first?
To be honest, I didn't look at the numbers past the last five because I saw it had multiple pages and I wasn't about to click through all of them.
We
Man,
saw.
I'm going to translate for you. Seth, I think I'm going to pass to you for a second. Well,
I look at this list.
and I'll interject second.
All right,
God,
let's keep this short
reflect
though.
the you.
I want to be able to move on to more things and all the topics Seth wants to talk about.
My biggest problem with the list is number 5. It's Portal 2. I don't think IGN really thought out this list very carefully, mainly because Portal 2, when it came out, was during when the PlayStation Network was down, and we had no multiplayer on it. How can you say that was such an important game and put it as 5 when we couldn't even have half the game at release?
It didn't say important games. It said it's a great game to play
Yeah, but why is it making the PS3 list?
because it's a
If it
great
was
game to play.
game of the year, yeah, I think we should see a lot more PlayStation. I mean, number 1 and 2 talk about PlayStation exclusives, but I don't see Portal 2 as a PlayStation mainly game. I see it mainly as a PC game. Same with Fallout. Same with a lot of the top 10.
Well, my problem, wait, Matt, you got anything else? You're still gonna look or just kind of stall there and sit there for a little while?
I'm sitting back.
Okay, well, see, I like how they purposely said things like Red Dead Redemption. I understand the Uncharted, but Mass Effect 2 is number 3, and Mass Effect 3 is a lot further back. Now, I'm sorry, I heard great things about Mass Effect 3, and are they gonna kill it because of the ending? It's quality. It's a better game. It's a new game, and as far as I understand it, it was a better game. So why put that one further behind? Why put I don't know. They update this annually, and they're a little hipsters about it.
Did you
That's
see what
really
number
bugging.
9 was?
Number 9. Remind me.
Resistance 3.
I mean, we're not even get into that. But there's another example where they had sequels otherwise. And I mean, the game Catherine. It's a dating puzzle. It's a puzzle game that circles around a dating sim as an anime. I mean, it's
I've never even
fucking
heard of it.
cheesy. Vanquish. Have you heard of Vanquish?
No,
That's number 19 because they want to be, hey, this game didn't do well, but it's good. See, we
I
like
didn't
games
hear.
you've never heard of before.
I didn't hear a few of these, and again, as I said, with Fallout and Portal, I don't even associate these with PS3. So, I don't know why to add it to the list.
And the first
Now,
How,
Infamous is number 21, and the other Infamous, I believe, is 6 or 5. I was gonna say level 6 or 5. Is number
I
six
think
or seven.
I think it was a better game. I
It
do
was a
think.
better game, but you got to put in perspective of when it came out, and are there really too many new features for Infamous 2? Infamous blows a lot of the other ones out of the water.
Matt, you gonna say
Infamous
something?
holds up today. Other games
how,
don't.
how is God of War 3 15 and Little Big Planet 2 13? They should be higher on the list, in my opinion.
Well, because I don't know. I'm not gonna get into this.
Now, my question into bringing these lists up that kind of popped in my head is, you know, how much importance do we got to put in lists like this? We get Game of the Year every year. We get, top 10 games, top 100 games, top games for this. I mean, aside from, the number one game of all time, Final Fantasy VII, do any other listings really matter?
Well, I think it matters to people who are interested in buying games for this system, and I think, especially with Uncharted 2 came on the PSN recently. Hmm. Uncharted 2 is number 2. Mass Effect 2 is on the PSN. It's very fishy to me. It's just why even update this list every year? Why not just say here are the top new games for the year? It's just I don't know. It's the way they go about it that irks me the wrong way, and I'm not going to get into Greg, but Game Over Greggy basically on Twitter because I forget his last name off the top.
Don't plug them. We only have so many plugs, and they need to be
Oh
for
yeah,
us.
trust me, it's not going to work out. Yeah, I'm going to really get this guy. Yeah, okay. He's Seth. He's the editor in chief of the whole PlayStation section of IGN. He
If
really
he
gives a
gets
shit
one
about
more
me.
follower today, and when this gets up, I'm gonna flip on
I'm
you.
sorry, Heavy Rain number 6. It can't. No, no. It wasn't that amazing of a game.
Who's being
Seth,
hipster now?
no, sorry. I like. All right, I don't like games that are pure story. I'm gonna go into it. I like a gameplay experience, and that had a fucking boring as hell gameplay experience. Let me walk around for 45 minutes and find these items. Hey, if I don't find them, story changes. Well, guess what? I just did nothing for 45 minutes.
That's exactly why I didn't buy the game.
Okay, Seth, anything you want to get into this week? I know you. I'll give the helm back to you. You started with it. You end with it. With anything you want to talk about?
Well, we brought up kind of StarCraft earlier, and we kind of teetered around the subject of pro gaming, the definition of pro gaming. Now, we know across seas, professional gaming is a profession. People are acknowledged like sports athletes. I think we brought this, I forget what game we brought it up with a few podcasts ago. I know Matt says,
League of Legends is making their own gaming
yeah,
league.
yeah, but so we bring these things up, and my question comes to you guys as far as pro gaming, okay, I am the best League of Legends or StarCraft player in the world. I play 18 hours a day, and even in South Korea, I'm a celebrity. I make good money, and everybody knows who I am. Am
Nope,
I a gamer?
that's not who you are.
But no, no, that's I am fatality.
Faith, oh
Not
my
really,
god, way to go back to fucking
but
2002.
I wish I was. But you know what I mean? Like because he's so good.
Hey, I'm not gonna edit this one out, Matt. What's your fan on?
My fan's not on.
And someone picked up the more static.
That was him. But does that make you a gamer? I mean, does being really good at one game make you a true gamer, or is there more involved with being a gamer? I guess I'll kind of fly to one of you two.
I was waiting for you to lead someone into it.
I left with a question. Now, Matt, does that make you a gamer, being a pro gamer like that?
I think it does. I don't think you need to play a multitude of games to be a gamer in quotes. As long as you play one game, you enjoy doing it. As long as you enjoy doing it, I think that's the point. I mean, if you're playing StarCraft 2 18 hours a day and you hate your life, you're not a gamer.
As long as
You're
you're not a gamer.
just
If anyone got it from the other week. Gay, get it.
Wow,
Homophobia.
that's a terrible callback. Steven,
I needed to disrupt the flow just because I knew Matt was going to start talking and rambling for nothing. If you hate your life, then no, you shouldn't play video games. Kudos. Good point. I,
Steven, Are
Yeah.
you a gamer because you're a hardcore, because I'm the best StarCraft there is and I only know this game? Am I a great gamer?
Well, I mean, professional golfers, they're golfers still. Professional gamers are still gamers. Sure, they got the distinction, but we can play football and have fun. And we say, hey, we play football. But on the other side, I'm not going to act like I'm in the NFL. But I'm not going to discredit people in the NFL because they dedicate their lives to it. I feel like professional gaming is simply just becoming a sport.
Look, I have to argue this one point because you bring up the whole sports analogy. Okay, you play backyard football is like you playing StarCraft and the pro gamer being the NFL. Now, that person who's in the NFL also can't be in the NBA too. He's only in the NFL, but you like to play a whole lot of games. I mean, I guess just being an athlete or a pro gamer, I really don't think makes you a full gamer. I think a few different things account. I think range of play, you know, whether I play a lot of games, I think skill matters, and I think how much you play really matters to be a gamer.
Well,
I can't give a gamer to, I almost want to make a separation between them because at a certain point, you're not playing a video game with StarCraft. You're doing like a math puzzle essentially. I don't know.
but at the same time, you're hearing about all these crazy South Koreans that are on the top of the Halo 4 charts. No, obviously there's different people who play different types of games. I think you're saying professional gamer can do anything, and that's simply not true.
No,
I
I'm
mean,
saying they can't, which doesn't make them gamers.
well, they can. They can do whatever they want, and they can be casual gamers, and they can do whatever they want, but they're professional in one range. If they go out specifically to do that, they're still playing a game, so they are still a gamer.
I guarantee most of the people who play StarCraft, 18 hours is a little ridiculous. 12 hours a day, are they good at RPGs? No. Are they good at shooters? Maybe not. So are they a gamer per se? I mean, I kind of want to put a label on gamers not being just somebody who plays video games.
Well,
I mean, somebody who's adamant about it.
then you're distinguishing. You don't really play WoW because all you do is do dungeons. You're trying to make this distinction to make yourself feel different than everybody else. And sure, you said they're not going to be great at RPGs and they're not going to be great at shooters. Guess what? Because they're not going to, but they can still play them and they can still be gamers. They still are gamers
But a lot of
because
them
they
don't play
play.
them.
Okay, so some guy in Major League Baseball can play football, but he's not going to be as good as everybody else. So he's not really an athlete, is he?
I was just gonna say that. I was gonna say LeBron James, is he an athlete? What are you gonna tell me?
You're going to say
LeBron
yes.
James is an athlete.
So can LeBron James play ice hockey?
No.
All no black people can't play ice hockey. I wanted to steal it from you before you can say it.
Look who's being racist. I think as far as the word gamer goes, I think it's way too widespread nowadays. I think if you play a game on your iPad, then you're a gamer now. I just think there has to be some criteria. It's just kind of the alternate end of, you know, okay, can we call somebody who, plays, My Pretty Pony on their Game Boy Advance, going old schooler. I don't even know if they have a game for that, but are they a gamer? And can we cut out the top end too? Are the people who are just so hardcore into their game that they're not really in it because it's a video game?
We don't cut out the top end in anything else. I mean, I can say I'm not a football player, but if I play if I play football in college, I'm a football player. So I understand there is an entry level to it, but in terms of the professional gamers, no, they're better at one type of game than the rest of the world, and that's fine. I mean, sure, you're not saying a 5-year-old playing Angry Birds isn't going to say he's a gamer. And if he does, we all had humble beginnings, and we all started somewhere.
Matt did have humble beginnings.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, of course he did. Remember he was trying to show off that driver game to us?
That game
Those were his
blew.
humble beginnings, and he thought he was. Did you thought you were a gamer back then, didn't you?
Sure did.
And now, when looking back on it, do you say you are?
It was a start.
Exactly. That's my whole case in point.
No, he's just trying to
Face.
make himself feel better. He wasn't a gamer.
I was too. I've played video games since I can remember.
Exactly.
Yes, but does one? I kind of want to go.
You do looking for raid, so you're not really raiding.
I want to call myself a raider for being looking for a raid. I wouldn't.
Well, you're not a real gamer because you don't really play real WoW.
I play real well, but just not that.
Oh, so I I play StarCraft and I'm wonderful at it, but I don't necessarily play role playing games, so I can't be a gamer.
It's only hypothetical that we disagree on.
Hypothetically, you're an idiot about.
No.
I'm agreeing 100% with Steven.
I just
Even.
believe that at some point it's not a video game anymore. You know, it just doesn't resemble anything like playing a game should. I mean,
Because you get paid for it. That's how the NFL is. It becomes your life.
And
Agree, disagree.
I remember reading that people say, they're paid to play StarCraft, so they're going to play StarCraft when they have to. But now they go home in their personal lives, they could choose to play any game they want to, but they don't. They still play StarCraft because that's what they enjoy. And that's kind of what I was saying. If you enjoy what you're doing, and even if it is only one game, they're still a gamer.
well, I don't think a lot of those people even go back home and play StarCraft. If they do, there's something seriously wrong with them. I wouldn't be able to get that whole mentality of being so obsessive about one thing. I don't know. I think that's a
Really,
personality
really.
problem.
I think your obsession with dicks is way beyond me. I mean, you text me every single day.
Especially specifically Butch Walker's dick.
Hey, I haven't brought him up once in this podcast, and no, I'm clearly not obsessed with Dick.
Butch
I like
Walker and the hipster band title he's got now.
Well, my texts that say that I love dick and I can't wait to take it up the rear end again, it
you are
completely,
really stretching.
All right,
really.
no, okay, let's just stop this right here because we want to talk about anything else. And we got to start wrapping up in a bit. Seth, any other topics you'd like to discuss? Bring up anything.
Uh, I don't know.
Joke. I threw you on the spot there. You gotta fill in the
One,
grenade that time.
one more thing. Well, Matt, I'm trying to. Part of me wants to find myself against Matt. Oh my God, I love the dick. I love penis so much in and around my mouth.
Because Seth always has to get the last word. Oh, I just slid that one in there.
Ooh.
End of discussion.
OnLive goes broke. You guys hear about this? Look, this one part you guys didn't want to talk about, but I think we should bring in. OnLive goes broke. For those who don't know, it's a purely you could stream games from it. It's a pay service. They're not, they didn't technically go bankrupt, but they're reconstructing their corporation, which essentially means they're broke. They have that kind of, I call it Netflix model, similar to GameFly. And, we've seen a lot of problems with also Netflix lately, and I don't know how stable GameFly is itself, but Netflix is increasing prices. Can this work for games, the style of, streaming to your PC at paying for a certain price? Is it something that you think could work in the long run? And this time I'll specifically pass it to Matt, because I know
I
he's
don't
not ready.
think I don't think so because no, I'm gonna prove you wrong because I'm ready. I don't think it's gonna work because games take so many more resources, and you already see this with Netflix. I remember one of my professors in college told me that during the peak times that the internet is being used, typically 7 to 9 at night ish, over something stupid like 85 to 90% of the internet's bandwidth is being used by Netflix, solely Netflix.
And did you know that actually around 30% of all Netflix usage is through PlayStation 3? I think it's over 30% now, but at some point it was about, I remember it was roughly 30% when I heard it.
Yeah, but okay, we got your point, Sony lover over here. But
I'm just saying, it's touching on video games. People use their gaming system for it. So, relate it to OnLive.
I think that OnLive and streaming games is going to take even more bandwidth than a TV show or a movie does. And I feel like that's going to really bog down the internet and it's not going to be able to perform at the level that people want their video games to be at. So they will still go out and buy the disc and play it on their console.
Well, that's not the problem that we're even discussing. We're discussing that people don't even play. People don't even go to the system, or at least on live. But people do go to Netflix. People do go to GameFly. I mean, can this even work?
Well,
And
I'm
I
gonna go
lost an
ahead.
audience in Matt.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that if the wonderful people, sorry, there's something going on in the Skype call that I'm not gonna give privy to, but the wonderful people at GameFly, if they ever want
It's
to
a
sponsor
knock
the
knock joke,
podcast,
okay, people?
work out perfectly. GameFly, I think, does it right, having the disc and the stream, and it's PC stream. So if you got an awesome system, then it works out. So not knocking GameFly, Wonderful product. They don't sponsor us at all. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Anyone listening? We'd love some money. But on live, purely streaming, I do understand Matt's point. I don't know. I mean, I think with the release of Ouya, it's gonna be all right, or Aoya, or whatever the fuck you pronounce it as, Seth.
Booyah!
Ouya, I think it might pick up then, but it's not gonna be a staple.
Now, comparing, you brought up how GameFly actually has physical discs. What I'll call it now the Redbox model, because that's essentially just what I know it as. Do you think Redbox is starting to carry games now? They don't have a wide variety of PS3, not where I'm at, but I could pick up UFC Undisputed. I could pick up Drake's, for $2 a day. Do you think that will be a viable model instead of this, streaming model?
I think the big difference is the price of the games versus the price of the movies. I mean, you're gonna have $60 games in there. I think it's a little dangerous to put it out there in the market like that. I don't mind the game plan model. So I don't know. Uh it can work, but then it's essentially like a rental store, and those don't work out as well. I think the product is so much more expensive that it would have to be a higher price for the box, and I don't think that would work out at all.
I don't know. I mean, it would only take, and you lose a lot of the overhead with rental stores. You don't have to carry as much bulk, and they're not having a ton of it in stock right now. But I mean, I wouldn't mind going back to a rental store kind of game, at least not for fighter games. I picked it up for Soul Calibur. I got unlocked all the characters in Soul Calibur. I was done. Um, Marvel vs. Capcom.
But how many people are going to play a game for one day?
I think it's viable. I think for me the fighting genre is one that I like to. When I want to play a fighting game, I want to pick up, play a fighting game, and drop it, and it works well for certain kinds of games. I just don't think it works well for all games.
And I think that's what's going to be the death of it. But I
Matt,
think we're not going to go anywhere else unless Matt has something to say.
yeah, do you think the red box rental model is a little better?
Nope. Again, I'm speaking from my own perspective and what I would like, and that's just not how I play video games.
Dicks in the butt. That's what you
I,
would like.
I can't pick up a video game and play it for 1 or 2 days. I have to sit there, play it, beat it, and then keep it. For some reason, I don't return them. I hoard them all.
You know that "Dude in My Butt" song was actually written by Matt.
Yeah.
It was performed
Matt's
by
Matt's
someone.
like a stage 2 hoarder. There's 5 stages.
Oh my
Everyone's
god!
basically stage 1, but Matt's
I
gonna
don't
like
know if
stage 2.
look, you know way too much about this hoarding crap. All I know is
Matt
that
Paxton,
Matt's
5
game,
decisions away. It's an awesome podcast.
if Matt's games are not in order that he purchased them, he has a serious fit.
Well, they might be not
I've gotten
compatible.
over that. I'm gonna blame that on my minor case of OCD when I was younger, but I
Yes,
think
we're saying you do have OCD. It's exactly what we're saying.
I would say he's minor because I think it's not fair to say he has OCD because there are a lot of people with real OCD.
yeah, it's just kind of like a very slight minor thing that I used to do, but I think I've definitely grown out of even that.
Oh, I mean, yeah, because the boxes, you can buy a dented box right now, can't you? Or do you return the whole Mass Effect because you don't like the way the box looks?
I didn't even buy Mass Effect because I didn't have the first one.
But basically, the second one had a problem with the box, and you had to ask the guy up front, even though it was like something along the top of it, like a scrape.
Sorry, if I'm paying money, I want the best there is.
Yeah, and that's not OCD at all. No.
The wheels are falling off, guys.
Yeah, I was gonna
Matt,
say.
what have you been watching, listening to lately? Anything new?
Nope, just typical Big Brother. Burn Notice season finale was on last night. I just watched it before we started recording this here. It's definitely weird. I don't know what TV schedule they're following. Is this? I mean, I could just be out in the blue, but they
Between
just.
summer and fall schedules.
Yeah, we're finishing up the summer lineup, going into fall.
But
We're having,
here's
go
the
ahead.
thing. They had a 10 episode season that started in the summer, just ended, and now they're gonna have another new season starting in November.
Yes, for the winter season. Fall and spring are the two major seasons. The off seasons are summer and winter, where you have less viewership. So they usually bring them back for that.
Yeah, so sometimes they double up. Hell's Kitchen's been known to double up two back-to-back seasons. I mean,
And
them blind for two
a
seasons.
lot of the major networks are also doing fall and spring seasons for the same television show instead of having different shows on both because they're guaranteed shows.
I'm almost positive Hell's Kitchen's gonna have a fall season as well. It's also to compete, so now Hell's Kitchen's they roll in two seasons, so they don't have to compete with American Idol or any of those shows. Just so you know, that's why they don't go every other season.
And that's why American Idol starts in the winter because it's so long that it's for the spring. That's why X Factor is going to start pretty soon to go into the fall, and when this is going to end probably around the end of November. So it's basically just the television structure in and of itself, where it's the 4 seasons, 2 majors, 2 minors, and they're
Yeah, have you ever noticed that Fox never puts up Hell's Kitchen with American Idol? It's on purpose.
I
So you
don't.
learned a lot this today, Matt.
It's just confusing. Like the show just ended, but it's gonna start a brand new one in 2 months.
Really, are you high? I have to ask.
No,
he doesn't smoke pot.
I've never
None of us
smoked a
smoke
thing
weed.
in my life.
None of us have smoked pot before,
None of
No,
us have smoked anything.
except for Seth. Smoking the
Sad,
dips. Okay.
sad.
All right. Well, what I have been doing recently, no
no,
music.
man, I haven't.
You smoked the dicks, according to Steven.
Okay. I haven't watched anything too new. Along with Matt, I mean, I got hooked to Big Brother this season, so BB14 is definitely. I spent probably easily 45 minutes before my girlfriend went to work,
You
and we were
smell
discussing the movies
BB14.
that make. Yeah, it's BB14. But we were discussing easily 45 minutes all the different movies that everyone can possibly make. It's gotten a little obsessive. Still trying to get her to watch Game of Thrones. Her aunt, who's like this mid 50s, maybe older 50s, early 60s, she likes like Legos and all that cool, kind of like pretty cool
Cool
person.
stuff.
All of a sudden, I find out she loves Game of Thrones, where there's a dick, there's a whole bunch of penises, a horse gets beheaded and sacrificed, a wolf gets his neck slit. I mean, a whole bunch of random shit happens on that show, and she likes it. So I've been really trying to push her to watch that, but I still got to catch up on season 2 because the fall's coming up. So besides that, it's been the huge.
Seth, anything?
I'm falling behind on TV. I've been YouTubing. Actually, I have the Daria. I bought the Daria box set a while back.
There's
I
no
got it.
real box set, is there?
Yes, there is. They
They
released it
finally made
last
it?
summer.
Oh,
I
really?
bought it last summer. They took out a lot of the songs, like the Beavis and Butthead. They can't include a lot of the original songs, the new songs. I gotta say, the show holds up. Not a lot does. Aside from that, new Flowbots dropped. I haven't had a chance to pick it up. Hopefully we're introing, outroing with a little bit of it, and that's pretty much it for me. So I guess this is the end, guys. For if you want to email us, let us know what you think. Hit us up at knownothingpc@gmail.com. Hit us up at facebook.com/knownothingpc if you want to write on our walls, or tweet us at twitter.com/knownothingpc.
KNOW, not NO.
Okay. Yeah, of course, because people can't figure it out because they're listening to the podcast. They don't, they clearly found us this way. They should know how to spell no. That'll be it for me. Peace.
Wait.
That'll be it for you. Peace.
I got one more thing. Hold on. Knock, knock.
No.
All right, I'm stopping this. This is the outro music. Bye, everybody.
What?